Welcome to Ground Control. I have an item for review. It is the Radiolink T8S transmitter, and it comes with either a S-Bus receiver or a full-size, full-range 8-channel receiver. I received the R8EF 8-channel full-range receiver with this. So I want to. This is courtesy of Radiolink. I want to thank them for sending this item for review. You configure this transmitter via Bluetooth, or you can tether it to your computer. They have an application that will run off of Windows, or they have an application that you can install on your Android phone and use that, and that is what I'm going to be doing to configure this. So before we get too far ahead, I could not find a QR code to scan with the phone in the manual or the documentation, so I created a QR code. I'll put it up on the screen now. If you want to take a screenshot of that QR code to save for later, or if you want to follow along in this video, because I am going to be setting up an aircraft with this transmitter during this initial review. And you can scan the QR code. It will take you directly to the application download page on Radiolink's website. Okay, so I already have the receiver installed in a plane. I should have kept it out long enough to talk about it, but I'm going to put up a screenshot of the receiver now. This is the R8EF 8-channel full-range receiver. It supports S-Bus, PPM, and PWM. It should come pre-bound to the transmitter when you receive it. If it doesn't bind, then power off your transmitter, power up your receiver, hold down, long press the bind button for a couple seconds till you get a flashing light. Then power on your transmitter. Everything should be bound and you should be good to go. If you need to switch between S-Bus, PPM, and PWM, then quick press the bind button 2 times, I think in less than 1 second. It'll switch modes. If it is in S-Bus, PPM mode, it will show a blue light. If it is in PWM mode, it will show a red light. Okay, so this transmitter has a 900 milliamp 3.7 volt 1S LiPo, 900 milliamp LiPo that powers the transmitter. It states that on a full charge you should get 5 hours of operation, so that's pretty good. It comes with this little color manual. It comes with a USB cable. You can charge the transmitter via a USB port on your computer or on a powered USB hub. It requires 5 volt 2 amp, which is the voltage and amperage of a standard USB port. So you can use this to tether it to your computer, use the computer application to configure it. I'm going to be using the Android app to configure this via Bluetooth rather than the computer, because that's the only way you can program this transmitter. It's a lot easier to carry my phone out to the field to make modifications than it is to carry my laptop out of the field. Okay, so it also comes with a little rocker and spring, so you can convert this from mode 2 to mode 1. Mine is currently mode 2. It has all the trim buttons on it. It has fairly nice and fairly smooth gimbals. It does not feel like a toy transmitter. It does feel like a hobby grade transmitter. You've got the power button right here in the center. You have a dial potentiometer, and all of these are labeled by channel. So you know just by looking at the transmitter what channel you need to set up for each one of these buttons. And for this dial potentiometer, you have a momentary switch on the front, on the top right hand side, and then you have 2 on the back side, on the top right and left. You have 2 3-position rocker switches. So, and this is an 8-channel transmitter. So, the channel order on the receiver is aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder. The channel 5 through channel 8 on the transmitter, and then the application are listed as aux 1 through aux 4. Let me go ahead and bring the camera in. We'll go over, the first thing I want to do is show you how to calibrate the sticks. Now when I received this and first connected to the app on the phone and went to the channel monitor, all the sticks look good, all the switches look good, except for the rudder went from -100 to +99 instead of +100. So I did go ahead and calibrate my sticks, and then powered it off, powered it back on, went back into the application, into the channel monitor, and then my rudder was fixed. It was showing -100 to +100. So that might be something you want to do right off the bat. So we'll bring the camera in, I'll get the phone, we'll take a look at the application. Oh, and I was wondering what plane to use with this transmitter to do the field test with the transmitter and the receiver. And I thought about it and thought about it, and I thought, tiny transmitter, tiny wing, right? I mean, doesn't that just feel right? A tiny transmitter and a tiny wing. So that's what we're going to go with. So of course, setting up a standard 3-channel or 4-channel plane is going to be really straightforward with the application. But I also wanted to go through setting up elevon mixing, and so using my little tiny wing here with this tiny transmitter to do the field test, I'll be able to show you how to set up elevon mixing. So a little more complicated setup than just setting up a normal 4-channel plane. So we'll bring everything in here and get closer up so you guys can see what I'm doing. Be back in a minute. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is calibrate the sticks on our transmitter. So make sure that your sticks are completely in the center position. Make sure I've got my throttle here in the center position. Then you're going to hold down the left rudder trim button, and then at the same time power up the transmitter. Okay, so we've got this flashing light. Now what we're going to do is we're going to push the sticks all the way up and all the way to each extent, all the way back around until we come back to center again. So now I'm going to move my sticks to all the extents, all the way back up, back over, and then back into the center position, and then press the right rudder trim button. Okay, so now your stick should be calibrated. I'll go ahead and push my throttle down to power it off. Power it back on. Alright, and it's going to ask you what you want to connect to. Radiolink. Now if you're like me, okay, so you hear the transmitter beeping, just press any button to confirm you want to connect, and now you can see the channel monitor comes up. Now when you first connect with the phone, the phone just brings up the default configuration. It hasn't actually read anything from the transmitter yet. So what you want to do is you want to select read. Okay, and then the transmitter is beeping. Okay, so it's read the information. So now let's check our sticks. Okay, so elevator 100, -100, aileron -100, 100, and a throttle 100, -100, and then rudder -100, 100. So our sticks are good to go. And then if you actuate your buttons, there's the dial, here's the momentary switch, and then the rocker on the top right, middle position, back position, middle position, forward position. Okay, so that's working. The other one is all the way back, center position, forward position, center position, and all the way back again. Okay, so it's reading all of our buttons and all of our sticks just fine. Okay, so now in order to create a model file, now that we've read the information from the transmitter, we want to go into load. No, it's not reading my eraser there. Okay, and I already have a new model file created, but if you wanted to create a new model file, you just select new, and it just defaults to naming it model-new.txt. So I'm going to go ahead and select the one I've already created. Now I want to rename it, so I'm gonna click the name. There we go. Let's erase that. Okay, so I just want to call this TW for Tiny Wing. TW, done. Okay, so now you can see our name has changed. All right, so let's go ahead and write that. I'm going to write that to the transmitter, and then in order to save your model file to the phone, you're going to select store. Okay, so it just wrote the file. Now let's go into basic. All right, and let me see. Everything is in normal except for channel 3, which is reverse. Fail safe for the throttle set for 0, and everything else is set for 50. I don't know if that's correct or not yet. Let's go into advanced and dual rate mix, channel 1. Okay, and so here is where you have your endpoints. Okay, so let's power up our plane. Okay, let's see what we have. Okay, so as you can see, we have elevator, we have aileron, but we don't have any elevon mixing yet. And let's make sure the throttle is working okay. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so right now elevon mixing is set for inhibit. So I want to enable, I want to turn on mixing, and I did write to the transmitter, and I'm going to store it again in the model file. Now let's see what we have. Okay, so our ailerons, our elevator is working in the right direction, and our ailerons are reversed. Okay, so let's go back into basic, and channel 1 is aileron, so let's reverse that right to the transmitter. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now our elevator is working on our aileron channel, and our ailerons are working on our elevator channel. So let's go back and click normal for our ailerons, right. Okay, now channel 2 elevator. Let's see if we reverse the channel and write it. Let's see what we have now. Same thing. Order is reversed. So let's see if we reverse both of them. What we have. I don't know if I've reversed both. Holy crap, we're there. Alright, finally. Alright, so left, right, up, down. Wow, that was fun. Okay, so our tiny wing is now configured. Oh, make sure. Let me double check that. I write it, and I want to store it in the model file. I don't want to lose what I've already done. Left, right, up, down. Okay, now, okay, so it still looks like I've got 100% deflection on there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that up in the mix instead of in the normal channel page. I'm going to go into advanced, back into the elevon mix, and here I'm going to set it at 75% travel. 75% travel. Oop. 75% travel. Same thing with the elevon, with the elevator. I'm going to put it at minus 75. And plus 75. And right. Yeah, that's better. Alright, that's got the proper dual rate on it now. Now let's go back into basic. Servo channel. Yep, okay, so that's where we wanted to change it, was in the mixer page. So now I have 75% dual rate in the aileron and 75% dual rate. Yeah, 75% in the elevator too. Okay, so that's what I wanted. Let's make sure we've got it written and we store it. Okay, so I think that that's all we need to do at this point to configure the Tiny Wing with that receiver using the Bluetooth app. We've got our control surfaces moving in the proper direction, and we have it set at 75% dual rate, which is what I had in my other transmitter and receiver. So I think we're good. So let's go out and test this Tiny Wing and this transmitter. I will see you out of the field. Okay, I'm out here with the Tiny Wing and the Radiolink tiny transmitter, the T8S. So this is our first test flight with the Tiny Wing and the Radiolink T8S tiny transmitter. So let's see what we can do with it. Keep it out of the sun. Ooh. I am not used to using this form factor of transmitter. Woo! Woo! It's going to take some time to get used to this little tiny transmitter. I've never flown an aircraft in manual mode with a tiny little transmitter like this. So it definitely takes some time to get used to. Not bad, not bad at all. I think I should have put a little more expo in it. Make sure we keep it out of the sun. Throttle back a little bit. Oh, it looks like we're going to have a snow landing out here today. This is a very aerobatic, very maneuverable little wing. So what do you guys think? That's not too bad, is it? I'm flying a little higher than I normally do because I'm just not used to this transmitter. But not too bad, not too bad. I just don't. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those people that has a fairly soft touch on the transmitter, on the sticks, I should say.
Alright, let's make a couple more circuits with it. And then see if we can bring it in for a snow landing. Throttle back a little bit. Alright, one more circuit. Do I hear a vehicle? Yep, never mind. I'm going to make another circuit. Hope I don't run out of juice. I don't know how long I've been flying. I forgot to set my timer. And he is just cruising. Nice stereo though, huh? Okay, I'm way too high. Let's bring it down. Turn back around the other way. Come in crosswind for a landing. See if I can land it with the Hey! I got it on the ground, but boy, I tell you, I'm having a hard time being gentle on the sticks. Did you see that? Did you see that wagon back and forth? Man, I was kind of chasing it there. But no, it was a lot of fun. It's definitely not a toy grade transmitter. It's definitely a hobby grade transmitter. But I think I should have increased the expo a bit more to make it a little softer at mid stick. So anyway, I'll see you back at the HQ, and I'll tell you what I think of this little tiny transmitter and with the receiver that came with it. But that was a lot of fun. See you back at the HQ.
Okay, so that was kind of a cold flight. I think it was 28 degrees out, but the sun was out, so it wasn't too bad. So what'd you think of the flight with this tiny little transmitter? I was pretty impressed with it. All right, a couple of tips for you. These sticks are pretty short, but they are adjustable. So what I did was I backed these out about halfway along the threaded portion, and then I coated the threads with a little bit of Elmer's rubber cement and let that set up, because I didn't want those thumb knobs on the sticks rotating when I was using it. So that worked out really well. It gives me a little bit longer lever to work with, because like I said, I do not have a soft touch on the sticks on a transmitter. So what I did before I took it out to fly it was I took the amount of expo that I normally have on a full-size transmitter, and I increased my expo by 30% before I went out, because I knew I wasn't going to have quite as much travel, quite as much resolution on the sticks as I would have on my full-size transmitter. So I kind of planned ahead for that. So I had the expo set at 30% higher, so I would normally have 45% expo on the elevators and 45% expo on the ailerons. And I have pretty aggressive movement on my control surfaces already. I mean, I didn't change those. So my dual rate on my aileron and my elevator are 75%. My normal expo is 45%, so I increased those by 30% to 60%. And as you saw, it has a very fast roll rate, and I have plenty of elevator in it. So I could have toned those down a little bit, and I think I will. Before I take it back out, I want to do another demonstration flight now that I've gotten a little used to this tiny transmitter by the end of the flight. So I'm going to tone down the dual rates to, I don't know, about 65%, and I'm going to increase my expo to 70 on both. So I'm going to cut both of them down on the dual rate to 65%, tone it down a little bit. It could stand being toned down a little bit, and then increase the expo to 70% on both the ailerons and the elevators, and then take it back out and test fly it again. But that was pretty fun. I have to say that I had a lot of fun using this little transmitter and this tiny wing. Now these would go in a backpack fairly easily, wouldn't they? I mean, it's not going to take up a lot of space. The other thing, it was a little tail heavy when I went out there to fly it, because this receiver I've got shoved in here, that's a full-size 8-channel receiver, and I normally fly this with a 4-channel receiver, and this is aft of the CG. So you know, I normally have this I have it at a completely neutral balance with my much smaller 4-channel receiver in it. So it did make it slightly tail heavy, which also makes it a little more maneuverable and less stable in the air. So next time I take it back out, I'm going to add a little bit of nose weight to it to offset the additional weight I have after the CG with that full-size receiver, and make the other adjustments I spoke about. And then we'll take it back out and do another flight demonstration with it, so I can bring it down, you know, closer. But yeah, I have a lot of fun with that. So so far so good. You know, I'm really liking this little transmitter and the receiver. I didn't have any problems whatsoever, other than my setup was a little too aggressive for it, and I should have put a little bit of nose weight on the front of it. But other than that, it worked out really well, and it had a little snow landing out there with it. So anyway, stay tuned. I'll have links to this transmitter and receiver in the show notes. I'm going to go out and do one more test flight with it, just to give a little better demonstration flight once I get the setup to you know, better in line with the size of this transmitter and the resolution of the sticks, and see if we can't get a better flight demonstration with it. But had a lot of fun with it, and thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.